Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel, Cosmic Metamorphosis. My name is Kat. Today, we are going to be looking at some information about John Denver. And if you follow the letter 17 board, there is a person called Vincent Fusca, who a lot of people say could be John Denver. A lot of people say it's JFK, or I've heard a lot of people say that it could be several different people playing that same person, just like we're finding out there are several people out there in public right now that could be played by several people and aren't the people they say they are. So anyway, I've been wanting to do this for a long time because I love John Denver. And I grew up listening to him and singing his songs, and I did some investigating, and I have done my own little PowerPoint to show you guys some incredible information. So I'm going to start some music. It's not too loud, so it's just going to be in the background. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to read some articles here to say that he possibly might still be alive. So, and I'll put all the links below. So I found this one article here. It says, John Denver, the untold story of a Vietnam sniper. I don't know if this is true or not. But I found this quite interesting. Says Henry John Duschendorf, I think that's how you pronounce it, Jr. He was a junior also, like JFK Jr. Better known by his popular singer-songwriter name of John Denver, was known for his bucolic songs about nature and the high life of Colorado Rocky Mountains. Denver wrote about what he knew, or better, how he wanted things to be. During the 1970s, he was arguably the most popular performer in the United States and exported his unique brand of optimism around the globe. But few know of his darker past, which the talented bard fought an internal battle for the rest of his life. John Denver was born into a military family. Military family in Roswell, New Mexico. His father, Captain Henry John Duschendorf Sr., was a test pilot stationed at the Roswell Air Force Base after the war. Although the younger Duschendorf never liked to discuss it, he later admitted to record producer Milton Okun that his father was one of the first crews on the scene of the secretive and supposed UFO crash one July 4th, 1947. Interesting, huh? Given that he saw what he saw on that night, his father rose to lieutenant colonel. The family never discussed the incident. Given that the Duschendorfs were an active military family, John enlisted to help fight the Vietnam War in 1966, abandoning his music career with the Mitchell Trio to join the war effort. After only 2 weeks in basic training, his Army staff sergeant discovered the young enlistee's knack for sharpshooting and transferred him to sniper school. From late 1966 through early 1968, Denver recorded over 105 kill shots, a record that was not broken until Navy SEAL Chris Kyle's 150 unconfirmed shots in Iraq. He saved countless lives. Hang on. Sorry. Although violence followed John Denver, he saved countless American lives because of his efforts. but he was mostly known by his fellow soldiers as a quiet introvert who liked to sing to pass the time. John really could shoot his rifle, said retired Captain James Dusty Straka, 74, who served one tour with Denver. He saved my life, but he was known for his performances, which calmed the guys down in some terrible situations. He never went anywhere without his M21 sniper rifle and that beat up guitar. He always used to say, if I get out here, I'm going to make the world a better place with song, not guns. And damn it if he didn't. Of course, such revelations of such a gentle pop singer being a vicious and calculating killer are the shock to some. Still, in context, Denver's later life was an attempt to work out and exorcise the demons he felt he gathered during his tours in Southeast Asia. I've got a gift, Denver once told pop star Elton John, who once visited him in Colorado during the recording of the English singer's Caribou album, and it's more than shooting the enemy. I want to bring peace to this troubled world, and I'm doing everything I can to heal Mother Earth. Elton John's song, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, is dedicated to Denver. And it says, Mr. Denver spent much of the 1980s fighting for environmental causes, often with much success. However, his past would not let go. And it goes on for a few other little things. During this period, it was also widely publicized that he had an alcohol problem, an affliction common with people who have PTSD. Authorities concluded that alcohol was not a factor in his crash, but determined that Mr. Denver had carelessly failed to refuel his aircraft correctly. So that's that on that one. Let me show you some pictures, and then we'll go into the next article. Hopefully this loads. All right. So is Vincent Fusca John Denver? Is he still alive and in the witness protection program? Let's take a look at some pictures. Look at this. John Denver and Vincent Fusca. They sure have the same smile. Look at that. The nose is the same. The eyes are the same. The eyes slant down in the corners. Their chin is so similar. Basically, like, it's really square. He has a really square jaw. So there's that. They like to wear hats. So there's a more serious look. One's blonde and one has black hair, which to me, that black hair is a wig. That is not real hair. Maybe that's why he wears a hat, because it's a wig. And next one. We've got Fusca. I don't know when that picture was taken, but it was anywhere from 2016 to 2020. And then we have Denver from the 1970s. The lips, too. If you really look at the lips, really look alike. The nose and the lips. And I'm saying those eyes are just, and he has the same glasses, you guys, the same glasses. It's crazy. Here's my cat at the door. Okay, and then we've got this companion of his. This lady who's hanging around Vincent Fusca, okay. I don't know what's going on with my, sorry, my background music. Okay, so we got Fusca's companion on the left. And she looks really familiar. And so I started looking at Denver's children. This one on the right is Jesse Bell Denver, which is his only biological child. So the thing that I noticed was the hair. Look how her hair is parted way over the side. Okay. So is Jesse Bell's. Not a lot of people do that. Here's a different picture. So they both part their hair that way. Although Fusco's companion, her face looks a lot longer and thinner, but the picture of his daughter on the right was taken years ago, probably 20 years ago, or close to at least 15, who knows. But here's his other daughter, Anna Kate. So Anna Kate was adopted with his first wife, Annie. So her name's Anna Kate Denver. But look at the face length, and her face is a little bit more flatter. So it could be. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying any of this is true, but I'm just giving you some options to look at too. This is a different picture of Anna Kate and Fusca's companion. This is, of course, a long time ago, probably in the 80s. And this is now. But look at the face structure. If you look at it, to me, it looks the same. Okay. Then the next one's going to blow you away, because this one, not Lauren, not Carolyn Bessette, Kennedy's sister on the left, but maybe it's Annie Denver. Look at the similarities. Like, Lauren's nose is really kind of short. This lady, whoever she is, looks an awful lot like Annie Denver. Same smile, same facial structure, same eyeliner. It's just, I could not find a picture of Annie with her hair pulled back into a ponytail. And of course, Annie Denver passed away in 2017, supposedly. But with all the med beds and things, who's to say that some of these people didn't go into med bed and get, they're supposed to be able to go and get 20, 30 years taken off. Who knows? I guess we won't know till they come out. Here's another picture. So yeah, what a resemblance. I think they're just darker hair. More makeup on this one, of course. You can't really see, there's a lot of eyeliner, but to me, they look awful lot alike if you really study that picture. So yeah, take a look at that. Then we have this one. They could be twins. So John Denver, if you just put a hat on him, he would look just like Vincent Fusca. I think so. I'm sure a lot of other people think so too. There's this one. And of course, as you get older too, your nose does get bigger. It does kind of droop a little bit. And of course, the teeth aren't going to be exactly the same, because you could tell Vincent's teeth, it looks like dentures or fake teeth. But that hair's got to be a wig. Here's another one. Same look. I mean, look at the look. That look is almost identical. One's blonde and one has black hair. But wow. I mean, I just sat here when I was putting this together. I was like, holy cow. I mean, if it really isn't him, I don't know. It's his twin brother or a clone or something. And then the last, this is just some other things that people have done that I found. So someone did one of their teeth, which they're saying matched up. And then, of course, this picture on the right, too. So, yeah, really, really interesting. Hopefully it is him. Hopefully he does come out with all the other people that are supposed to be alive. That would be great. I found another article, though, here. And I will put the links to this below. John Denver's death, another hoax. So this person went in search of his his death certificate to see if there was anything funny. And it's a very long article, so I'm only going to read some of it. And if you're interested, you can read the rest of it. It is very interesting. Makes you wonder. It says the National Transportation Safety Board on January 26, 1999, held a public meeting regarding the October 12th of 97 death of singer John Denver, real name Henry John Duschendorf Jr. I called NTSB earlier this summer to get hold of a copy of that report, only to be told that they have no record of it. I did find it eventually in the Wayback Machine. That's odd. NTSB missing a report on one of the most high-profile plane crashes in recent memory. But it makes sense from another standpoint. If the death was faked, and if higher powers were involved, then people of integrity at NTSB might simply want to back away from it. They would not want their careers or character sullied by such an affair of deceit. So they allow the report to circulate, but do not claim ownership. Here at this blog, we do a lot of research on fake deaths. And on the surface, Denver's had all the earmarks. He died at an appropriate age, which was 53. 5 + 3 = 8. Spook marker, which I'm not too sure what a spook marker is, but I guess it's an indication. And the circumstances of his death are completely hinky. He is said to have been struggling with the fuel tank switch in his Long Easy, a second-hand home-assembled model he bought and flew even as he could easily afford something new, something factory built. It doesn't read well. Denver, a smart man, an accomplished pilot with hundreds of hours of flight time, was not going to perish in an act of idiocy. Other markers of fake death are present as well. Denver's once prolific output had dwindled. His more current offerings were just not very good. As with Elvis, Karen Carpenter, John Lennon, and most recently Prince, so this article was written a while ago, faking death is a business decision that maximizes the monetary value of the body of work. Denver's greatest hits, along with his cutting room debris, have all been repackaged and resold to the tune of millions of dollars, as with the others who fake their deaths. I have been working on this issue for months now, off and on, and I am convinced now that John Denver did not die that day. Too many things are wrong with the picture, and yet I don't think I will ever be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that he didn't. While the people who planned the charade were sloppy, and while the whole day of his death seems a cheap and contrived detective novel, there is enough evidence to keep the myth alive. There is a fingerprint match, probably facilitated by Monterey Sheriff Norman G. Hicks, and the absence of 2 toes on the corpse, said to be a link to the real Denver, but probably contrived and circular. While I cannot disprove these 2 pieces of evidence, I will cast doubt. And so this is a video. So John Denver fly fishing in New Zealand. Let's start with a video which caught my eye months ago. Something is not right. So let me pause that, and we're going to play this so you guys can watch it. Look, there's the thumb. There's the thumbs up. Which is, if you don't know, that's what Trump does. That's what everyone around Trump does. I wonder if Vincent has an earring, because John Denver had an earring in that left ear. Sorry, my cat is meowing in the back. Okay. So it says the video was said to be shot in 1993 and released to YouTube in 2009. Denver is hidden behind glasses, hat, and beard. The hair looks like that he had looks like what he had back in the 90s, but could easily be a wig. Below is a screen grab of a known video of Denver in 1993. Which could be, but I think his hair looked a little bit darker. It says several things jump out. at us. One in side view close-ups in the New Zealand video, which was above and we just watched. Denver has pronounced crow's feet and other facial wrinkles, where in the image above, his eyes and face are still youthful and unwrinkled. Of course, this could be makeup and the poor quality of video available in 1993, as the latter in a stage performance. So that is not conclusive. In 1993, Denver was 49 years old. Tough call. In 2009, he was 65. The crow's feet and lines below look more like 65 than 49. And they point that out. The circles. Okay. The other matter, however, is a bigger tell, and that is the quality of the video. A member of the team that shot the video in 1993 claimed it was done on Sony Betacam half-inch tape. Tyrone, a writer on this blog who has seen the above video and has good knowledge of such matters, says it is entirely plausible that it was shot in 1993 when Denver was still a big deal and high technology films would be made of his performance. The question is why? The conversion to video is slick and contains high production values. In 2009, putting it on YouTube does not generate a revenue stream. They basically kept it in the can for all the years it had maximum value, 1998 especially, and then cut it loose for nothing. As with everything else in the matter of the death of John Denver, it is plausible but highly suspicious. John Denver, by the way, had 3 children. Anna Kate was adopted and now lives in New Zealand, which apparently that video was filmed in New Zealand. Interesting, huh? Zachary adopted and still lives in Colorado, and Jessie Bell, product of the second marriage to Cassandra Delaney, lives in California. When I speak of them below, it is only a matter of trying to clarify their father's behavior. They were not in control of the events of Denver and his handlers. I urge everyone to leave them be. So like I said, this is a long article and it goes into basically the the exclusion of Jessie Bell from the John Denver estate and why that happened. So there's some fishy things going on there. Why would he exclude his daughter, his only biological daughter, from the estate? Unless there was money somewhere else or to be made, or yeah, she was in on it or something. And then it talks about his plane, and it talks about the crash. Basically, it has all the witness testimonies, the coroner's report. It's a really, really good article. And here it lists the coroner's register. And what's funny is it states, even, okay, in Hollywood, if they go by a different name than their given name at birth, when they die, that birth certificate should have their birth name. And apparently that was one thing he was arguing in here, was the fact that it was under John Denver and not John Duschendorf. So that's a pretty interesting thing. So yeah, it goes into detail about the crash, the witnesses, what they saw, what they heard, apparently. But I'm gonna go down here. Pathologist report. They didn't find any drugs or alcohol in his system at all. He was in a good mood that day. So it just didn't make any sense. Photographic evidence they go into. And then what really happened, an alternative explanation of events. So I'll just read this and then we'll end it here. But what follows is a recounting of the events of October 12, 1997, as they might really have happened, and not the fairy tale recounted above. Sometime long before October 12, 1997, the decision was made that the public performer, John Denver, widely beloved and having a large fan base, but whose output had slowed and talents had diminished, had to be fake killed. In the music business, people who have a large body of work, like Elvis, Karen Carpenter, Prince, Queen, Michael Jackson, for instance, are often killed off, quote, in order to maximize the post-mortem value of their works. In Denver's case, his post-death sales skyrocketed and are still significant to this day. His later works, songs that did not catch on or make it off the cutting room floor of the recording studio to the public have also been packaged and sold. This is one reason why older musicians fake their deaths. But note, the decision to fake their deaths is probably not theirs. These are not independent people making their own way through the business world. They are the products of music companies, producers, managers, public relations. Often they have intelligence ties. Which we're finding out. They could be nothing more than wage slaves, though the wages are a bit higher than for most of us. I often question whether the music they write is really their own or the product of the group of people assigned that task. I do not believe that John Lennon and Paul McCartney wrote everything attributed to them and have similar suspicions about John Denver. While Denver was a talented man and a good performer, it was decided that it was 555 time for him. And that's a code as well. Or a new life in anonymity, quietly enjoying his earnings and family in peace. So plans were made to stage his death. A script was written. Since Denver was a pilot, a plane crash seemed the logical end, but staging a plane crash can be difficult. It would have to be done in a place where all the elements were controlled. Monterey County, California, is the center of the old Hearst Empire, a county long under control of oligarchs. The sheriff or coroner's office is probably under their control as well. Having both sheriff and coroner in the same man, an ex-military man, would help. So the Pacific Grove location was decided. Sorry, I know my cat is driving me crazy because she's out the door. Okay. A corpse would be needed, and that corpse would have to be positively ID'd as Denver's. A plane would be needed, but it would have to be a flawed aircraft. Fatally flawed, I would say. Who better to supply the aircraft than a spook-run aircraft company, Burt Rutten's Scaled Composites? Did they have anything sitting on the shelf that could be used? Prior to the event, Denver wanted to be sure his assets were distributed to the people he wanted them to go to, and so gifted them to Anna, Kate, and Zachary, leaving Jesse out. This included his home in Aspen. It was a taxable gift, which later put the two children in dispute with the IRS over valuation. The Long Easy was chosen because it was home assembled and so could easily be defective. But something else was needed, as there would not be a real crash, a simulation vehicle, a remote-controlled light plane. Let's turn that down. That is what the Pacific Grove witnesses saw, not a Long Easy. But the critical element was the body that required a weight, as they needed an unidentified cadaver that could be mutilated to the degree that it was unrecognizable, and then supplied the county morgue people. Most of the staff people involved in the autopsy were just professionals doing their job. Where to get a cadaver? One might turn up in a car accident or wash ashore or in a river or on a beach. Since the sheriff, Norman G. Hicks, was compromised and a player, he was put on the lookout, and told to notify the John Denver people when a body was available. One turned up, the phone call was made, and the plan went into action. The plane was flown in and put on display at the local airport, but Denver would not actually fly it that day. His job was to be seen around Pacific Grove, wearing bright clothes, happy and chipper, playing golf, avoiding alcohol, in general, just being visible. Since he had never flown the Long Easy, he might not have actually flown it that day if one was flown at all. But again, he might have. The problem is that when a pilot's license is suspended, which if you read above, his license was suspended, airports can get into trouble if they let the pilot use the facilities. The suspension is meant to be enforced. In fact, he could have merely parked his car at the airport and left the scene. He did leave his wallet. Assume he did fly that day, and airport mechanic Chris Hadland was a real guy and not a player. In that case, he might have done a couple of takeoffs and landings and then flown into the sunset, landing the craft at the nearby Coast Guard Air Base at Alameda. Other landing sites were no doubt also available. Or perhaps Denver made an appearance, but another pilot familiar with Long Easy flew it, did some takeoff and landings, had some contact with the tower, and then flew to Alameda. Coast Guard, we must assume, which also recovered the body, was also part of the charade. Hang on. Or perhaps Chris Hadland was given a script and told to read it. No Denver, no pilot, no Long Easy. In the meantime, the remote controlled aircraft was flown over Pacific Grove low enough that people would be sure to see it, and then out and over a bunch of rocks, possibly crashing into the ocean. Perhaps it blew up by remote control, resulting in a loud pop, heard by many witnesses. However, the pop event was later downplayed and ignored, as it was not congruous with the plan, merely hitting the ocean at high speed. And that was it for the real event. Ron Duschendorf, who is John's brother, and Annie Denver knew in advance, and possibly Anna Kate, Zachary, and the mother, Irma. They were told to lay low and not offer anything but grief and regret remarks to the press, and not to worry that John would be okay and in touch as soon as possible. Coast Guard higher ups agreed to allow their name to be used in the publicity around the event, but did not recover either plane parts or a body. That is an indication of the source of the power behind this event. Photos of men carrying a stretcher with a yellow tarp were staged, again out of sync with the official script, which had the body transported by the Coast Guard to a dock. Let me see, and it goes on. Let's go down here to the bottom. Denver was said to have died without a will, as even in a corrupt environment as ours, it is still impossible to probate the will of a living person. There was no life insurance, as that kind of fraud brings in powerful insurance companies and their investigators. The Pitkin County courts had to be strong-armed into silence, forced to seal the records, and I do not know how that was done other than sheer brute force, again indicating the source of the power behind this event. The coroner's report was never made part of the official records of Monterey County and is only now available electronically. as with NTSB, people of integrity knew to keep quiet and back away from it. Denver himself made his escape. He might live in New Zealand, now 71 years of age. So they're, like I said, if they have access in these programs to these med beds, of course, people are going to say, you know, oh, but he's this old. Okay, so if you see a younger version, you're going to go, that can't possibly be him because that one's too young. So it's possible. But like others before him used to the spotlight, he could not help himself. And when friends staged the fly fishing in New Zealand video in 2009, it was a message to his fans. He was telling us, I'm still here. Spook marker. There are at least hundreds of thousands of intelligence agents around the world, and they have apparently designed a shorthand method of communication with each other. Part of this is numerology, or what we're finding out now is gematria. Several numbers have significance to them. Among them, 8, 9, 3 times 3, or 11, 27, 3 times 3 times 3, 33, especially and in many forms. 47, 4 plus 7 equals 11. And Denver's age at death, which is 53, 5 plus 3 equals 8. The number 555 has significance to them. So, anyway, there's footnotes, there's a little bit more. So I just find that really, really interesting. And I will post those links, and hopefully this makes you think a little bit. And I think we're going to find out a whole lot more coming soon. And some people we thought were dead are actually alive. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Take what you will from it. And thank you so much for tuning in today. I love you. And thank you to all my subscribers. If you like this, pass it on, like, share. And if you feel like you want to help donate to me, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. So I am in the process of trying to find a job where I am because I need to pay some bills. So I'm trying to find a job, and I may not have enough time to do as many videos as I want to do now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I love you all. Hang in there. Hold tight. I love you all. Have a wonderful week. Bye.